Recently, I noticed that I passed the 500,000 photos mark in my Lightroom library, and I thought that this is a good time to do some reflections. I remember that many years ago I heard that quote by Henry Cartier-Bresson: "Your first 10,000 photographs are the worst." And back there I was thinking, why 10,000? Why not 20? Why not 30? But I think what he meant is that you need to go through a certain process of at least 278 rolls of film just to start understanding a little bit about photography. But film is a limiting medium and it costs money. And you have only 36 attempts to get it right before you need to pay for another one. So naturally, during these times, the process of capturing a photograph was slower and more deliberate. You had to engage in kind of thinking process every time before you took a picture. So if during a film era you needed to pass a threshold of 10,000 photographs just to start producing somewhat decent images, today when cameras can take 20 frames per second and your only limitation of how many photographs you can capture is the size of your memory card. So in today's era, I would take that number of 10,000 photographs that Henry Cartier-Bresson talked about and multiply it by 10, which makes it 100,000, 100,000 of your worst photos until you start producing something better. And after you run these 100,000 photographs through your editing software, you will surely have some insights on what can be improved next time. As for me, I have taken probably more than 500,000 photographs, and this is what I learned. This is what I want to share with you today. My first lesson would be that moment is the king. A photograph that has a strong moment will beat composition at any time. Composition is something that can be repeated and replicated. Moments are unique, and they do not repeat the exact same way. But there is a key difference between how an experienced photographer is approaching moment and how someone less experienced does it. An experienced photographer is most likely to anticipate the moment. In a very short period of time, he will calculate where the subject is, where he's about to be, check the background, check the lights, check the colors, and most likely position himself right in the right spot just in time to press the shutter and capture that moment. Someone with less experience, on the other hand, will probably notice that something is happening and will purely respond from the phase that he was standing, or will just run straight forward towards the subject. There will be very little or no prior thoughtful process about the scene at all. And later, when you're comparing your images from the same moment with an experienced photographer, you might think, how is that possible? We were standing in the same place and yet his images are better. The reason for that is that even though the moment is stronger than composition, a photographer with experience knows how to capture that moment. This happens because of years of practicing and learning composition. He develops a sort of muscle memory and instincts that kick in when something like this is happening. That is why composition shouldn't be ignored and should be practiced all the time. My second lesson is about the rules. After 500,000 of photographs, my attitude towards rules changed completely. I remember that in my first years of photography, I would always try to follow the placement rules. The rule of thirds, or I will try to create symmetry. I would literally get anxiety when I saw a frame when everything wasn't dead straight and the lines were not properly aligned. But slowly with time, I started to get bored with these images. They were nicely composed, but they felt empty to me. And it was like that until I started to compose for what is important and ignore the rules. Today, my composition thinking is focused more on priorities. I choose a subject of importance and I try to compose it in such a way that it has the presence and the attention I want. I look at the scene as an attention chart, almost like every visible element has an attention percentage attached to it. And I start playing, giving one subject a little bit more attention, giving another one a little bit less, and it's an endless process of refining and perfecting the composition and distributing these attention percentages between the different objects in the frame. Most important, it's attention-based. It's not rule-based anymore. I just try to bring attention to a certain point in the frame. I ignore the rules. My third lesson was that not everything can be done behind the computer. Some things are better done on the spot. After going through 500K of photographs in your Lightroom library, one thing becomes absolutely clear. Not every photo can be fixed in post. At first, I was like everyone else. I would go out, photograph, full of excitement, but then I'll have a lot of editing to do. And quickly I recognized the pattern that there were a lot of things that you could simply do nothing about after you're coming back home. If you missed focus, good luck fixing that. The angle you see is wrong. Nope, can't fix that either. If the light was soft, you can't make it harder. The direction, the mood of the light cannot be fixed either. You didn't press the shutter button at the right time? Well, you missed your moment. So after noticing that I cannot fix this in post, I started paying far more attention to what is happening around me when I want to capture the photograph. And now I can tell you for sure that if you spend more effort to learn photography better at the scene, you will significantly shorten your time in front of the computer. I think that approach saved me months from my life. I actually have a video that speaks about that. Perhaps you want to take a look at it. It should be somewhere here, and I will also add it in the description of the video below. 500,000 photos teach me a lot about light. Now, after doing this so many times, I can immediately assess with my eye how will the final image look like in your camera. Sort of learned to see how the camera sees. This is a result of observing how light interacts with objects, surfaces, and what kind of mood it projects into the scene, and how that mood will look on the final image. Another thing that I learned about light is that it falls on different parts of your scene in a very different ways. Sometimes your subject is lit more strongly than the background, and that makes him pop. On other times, the background is lit stronger than him, and he becomes a silhouette. Sometimes the light is flat, and both your subject and your background are lit exactly the same way. I learned to look at all types of light, not just sunlight, golden light, or the light in the shadows. But what I learned the most is that you can shoot in any light and find a way to work with it. There is a video about that as well, and it is in the description too. And my time in Lightroom taught me that presets are mostly a lie, and color grading is something that you should use as seasoning, not as tool to make a photo with no moment better. Yes, you will get the mood, but if nothing happens in the image itself, it's just a mood. I saw throughout the years that presets that worked well on one particular type of image don't work on another. So what I started to do is create presets for myself that would suit a certain light conditions. For example, a smoke scene, or a beach scene, or a Morocco daylight hard light scene. That made my workflow much easier, but still, when I changed my camera model, it usually resulted in the need to update this. Presets are very sensor dependent. What worked on one model of your camera it doesn't work as well on the other. If you're out there buying presets, keep in mind that they might not suit your camera model and they'll be just waste of your money. Better try to make this yourself. You will learn more about the editing process if you do that. Be always ready. The time spent photographing outside teach me to be always ready, to be prepared. Always have your camera in your hand. Have your settings ready and scan the street with your eye for potential moment development. When you're out there shooting, don't have your camera around your neck or chat with someone. Being engaged in a conversation and hoping that you will notice the moment, at the same time being able to turn on your camera, point it out, compose it, and be on the right settings, that's not likely to happen. Most likely you will simply lose that moment. You should be ready for the moment at any moment. I also had a certain realization about camera settings. Camera settings, these don't matter as much as your vision and your message. I come from an IT background, and I was always digging so deep in the camera menus and different settings. I always try to understand how to make the perfect image, and I always thought that I will make the perfect image if I know the settings and how to operate my camera the best way. I wanted the photo to be perfectly sharp, perfectly in focus, and with the lowest noise possible. I would be terrified if I see a little bit of grain on my photograph. But if you're doing creative work, perfection is the enemy of your progress, and being stuck on settings and technical perfection actually affects your photography in a negative way. The images would be technically perfect, but not interesting. It took me years to peel that part of me. And this is a question that I'm often asked: which settings do you shoot on? So let me take that one out of the way, so you can see that there is no magic there. For slow scenes, I would usually use aperture priority. For fast-moving street scenes, I would shoot manual with auto ISO settings. And if the camera is not exposing the way I want, I just switch to manual settings. So today I'm less in the settings and more in the shooting process. I let the camera make a lot of the decisions. But if I see that she is misbehaving, I gently direct her by adjusting the needed settings. I learned that one of the hardest things is to maintain a good mindset and passion for photography throughout the years. Your mental game has no less importance than your actual ability to perform as a photographer. You need to understand that that thing that you call failure is your vehicle to learn and get better. It shouldn't put you down. You shouldn't allow it to put you down. We tend to have a lot of self-doubt with thoughts like I will never be as good as, or I don't like what I produce, and many other things that just rise up as a negative feeling from the process of that you're doing, that is, you're just not there where you want to be. But what photographers must remember is that making photographs takes practice, just like music or being an athlete. You cannot be good at this without putting the hours in. Today, after 500,000 photographs, there is no more doubt about my abilities, but I walk the mileage and I gained that confidence as a direct result of my efforts. What I'm trying to say is just be easy with yourself and treat every new photograph as a learning experience. Dare to fail and you will be rewarded. Also, I learned that by keeping photography as a hobby, helped me having a better mental relationship with it rather than working as a photographer. It helped me to be passionate about photography throughout all these years, and it was always my happy place. I had multiple opportunities to divert and become a professional photographer, photographing weddings, events, or headshots, but I always refused this. Well, I did agree a few times, but it always felt like work and something that I didn't want to do. So I decided to keep my photography as a hobby, and I stick to teaching it. It is very often that I see photographers who decided to do it professionally and lose their love and their passion towards photography, as it becomes the job they used to hate and working with clients that they don't like. So guard yourself from this. If you feel that you start hating the things that you used to love, perhaps it's time to pivot and maybe rethink the place of photography in your life. When I started my photography journey, I was that guy that used to carry a full bag with gear. I would take 3 zoom lenses and 2 primes every time I went out to photograph because I didn't know what I will need. I wanted to be ready for everything coming my way. Now looking backwards, it took me many years to understand that a lot of that gear had a negative effect on my photography. Because I had a lot of lenses, I didn't really feel any of them, neither the distance, neither the perspective, or how the photograph feels with each and every lens. I would usually aim for the easy ones. I would take the 135mm f.2 or the 70-200 f2.8 because these were easy. Things looked pretty with them, but I still didn't understand how to work with them. It all changed when I decided to commit to a 35mm lens for 2 years. I shot only with that lens and it had profound effect on me. It was the first year that I had no back pain and I could spend hours outside walking and enjoying photography. After shooting with that 35mm for 2 years, I could feel composition naturally. I understood the lens field of view and how things would look when photographed with that lens. As a result of that, I decided to significantly decrease my lens park. Today, I don't have anything longer than 85mm, and even that one is rarely used. When I'm going out, it's usually one lens for one session. That allows me to be light on my feet and also explore only a certain type of images, which allowed me to focus better and bring better results. With all these gear talks, we need to remember that what we are actually after is to evoke emotion in the people looking at your photographs. The most difficult part of photography is to make your audience feel. To become good at photography, evoking a feeling or emotion is a must. A food photo should make you hungry. A scene on the street should make you feel the street. A portrait should make you feel that you have learned something about the person you're looking at. And this is the simple difference between a good work of art compared to a boring one. A strong photograph will make the viewers feel, while the weak one will keep them indifferent. I hope it wasn't too much. Honestly, I have mountains of reflection from this beautiful path, but I will keep some more for next time. So if you are not subscribed yet, you should subscribe. Meanwhile, share with me your own reflections from your own photography journey. And if the video resonated with you, consider liking it. See you next time and happy shooting!